Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon, and welcome to yet another deck profile Monday on the channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe and ding that notification bell if you are enjoying this content and our other content as well. It really helps to support the channel and we appreciate it no matter how you're showing your support. So what deck are we looking at today? Well, we're looking at a deck that I've actually completely fallen in love with. During BT15 format, I kind of was like, I don't want to play that deck. But recently, I've fallen in love with this deck. I kind of played it once the X5 came out, as you'll have seen from our previous kind of Mitamamon, Kantorosmon deck profile. But now, I've pretty much started making the full slide over to just playing Yellow Vaccine. So we've got a big mix of Angels, Royal Knight guys, and loads of stuff going on in here. Just to go that full-on kind of super generic, super toolboxy kind of, environment, if you will. I've not gone as kind of angel-oriented, maybe. I've still kind of tried to stick to as much Kantorosmon stuff I could, because I just really like Kantorosmon and Mitamamon and the kind of dynamic between those two Digimon. But we'll go through my kind of card by card, and hopefully you guys like it. Let me know if you've got any tips, especially you kind of yellow players out there. Always up for more tips from you guys as well, not just me pretending that I'm one of the greatest players in the world. Spoiler alert, I'm not. But I mean, you guys have seen my misplays. But anyways, we'll get into the card by card, starting with, as always, our Digitamas. We've got 4 copies of Kyaromon. So we've gone for kind of a more aggressive kind of build with this. We want to be going as quickly as we can. We're not necessarily looking to control the board. We can, but we're looking to try and do as many swings as possible and as much damage as we can do. Kyaromon really helps towards that. So whenever one of your security stack is you remove a security stack, one of your Digimon gets jamming. So it doesn't have to be the Digimon that Kyaromon is under, it's just any of your Digimon on the board. So if you've got a more advantageous Digimon that this is not under, you can actually give that jamming instead, which is really cool. Great card, really, really cool for that kind of more aggressive Yellow Vaccine style, and just brilliant for this deck. Next up, we've got our only 4 of rookie. There's another rookie that I kind of should have at 4. I misunderestimated how good it actually is. We'll get into it in a bit. But hopefully I can get a 4th copy of it sometime soon. But our 4 of rookie is 4 copies of the BT15 Kudamon. This is our de facto searcher in the deck, the best searcher we have. It reveals top 3, adds 1 yellow Digimon card with vaccine trait and 1 yellow tamer card, which is just brilliant. Does the same job as BT11 Biomon, searching something with X color vaccine and then X color tamer, but in yellow that's so much more dangerous because we've got so many strong things to pull from, whereas Biomon in birds is kind of limited to bird stuff, but in yellow we have so much vaccine stuff. We've got so many good targets for that. It's just really good. And also it's inheritable that when attacking, if there's 6 or fewer total cards on both players' security stacks, one of your opponent's Digimon gains -2 KDP. That does come up. It helps make things smaller, stops people from necessarily wanting to block you. Just a really great card. Fantastic search for the deck. Next up, which is the card that I feel like should be at 4, but unfortunately I don't own a 4th copy, is in fact, not yet. We'll get into it. We're sticking to the Kudamons first, sorry. Apparently I don't know the order I've done this. Oh well. Digimon, you don't come here for the professionalism, you come for the bants. I guess, maybe. Anyways, Kudamon, the promo. So the reason why this is in here is because I was finding in my kind of previous purely Mitamamon version of the deck, I was finding I was trashing my own security far too quickly. And that is a big issue, because yes, we gain a lot of advantage from trashing our own security, but also the opponent does too, because we've got less security, and that means they can swing for game easier. So this helps us kind of recur some of our pieces, recur our Kantorosmons, and actually because I'm playing this, I'm tempted to play an extra Kantoros. Spoilers, I am playing Kantoros. Duh. But, It helps us give a recovery +1. It also has an on-deletion. One of your opponent's Digimon gets -1k, which can come up. 1k is not a lot, but, it can do some stuff. Next of is our rookie that should be at 4. If I've got my orders correctly, yep, I do. And it is 3 copies of BT15 Patamon. This card is insane, and I can't believe I ever thought otherwise. There was a time where I thought this card doesn't hit things enough, but then I realised how much you can just stack your own security in this deck. Even more so if you're playing certain other cards, which I'll go into as tech options. I'm not playing them. You might even be, if you know Yellow Vaccine, you might even know what they are. But essentially, because I've gone more the Kentaurus route, I decided to not, forego playing those ones because we've got other ways of doing the things that those do. But Patamon is exceptionally good. Moves out at the start of main. If you've got something in security it can digivolve into, you digivolve. You then get to add something to your security stack from your hand, so you can then further kind of make sure you've got the right things you want in your security. And then also, because of the way its effect works, it then triggers its own inheritable and you gain a memory. That's stupid. Is it not? That's just stupid. A card should not be able to trigger its own inheritable, and yet here he is. It's just brilliant. I need it at 4 copies. I do not have 4 copies, unfortunately. I very much want to try and get one. But this card is on the up because Yellow Vaccine is a very popular deck right now, and he will be even more so in BT16. So if you don't have your copies of this, get them while they're hot. They're not going to be going down anytime soon. I'll race you to it. But anyways, Patamon is great. And then next up is 2 copies of Patamon's counterpart, Salamon from BT15. Really great for kind of adding something from security and making sure we've got kind of more things we can add. And also helps us with kind of recovery later on as well via its start of main. Also, when a card is removed from security stack, all turns, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2k DP. And the fact that's all turns is so good. But I am only playing this at 2, just because the Kudamon Searcher I felt was more beneficial. And obviously Patamon, I think it speaks for itself. If I was going to up this, I'd go to 3. I'd probably take out one of the Searching Kudamons, but I don't really want to. Because at the moment, the rookie lineup is working really well. Next up, we're going to our champions. We've got 3 copies of BT15 Gatomon. This card is brilliant. We wanted it in security as much as possible. I'm playing it at 3 just because I wanted a fairly even ratio for all of my champions. So all of them bar 1 champion, which is at 1 copy, are at 3 copies. But this is great. If you trash something via an effect, or if the opponent trashes something from your security via an effect, you get to play this out. Now, it's important to stress that it is trashing specifically and is not security battle. Security battle does not count as trashing because it has to be an effect that does it. But really, really cool. Has barrier. When a card is removed from your security set, you gain 1, which can help swing turn. That's all turns as well. And the fact that it has barrier inherently as well as also as an inheritable, try and work that one out, but is actually super strong because they can try and beat over this, and then all you end up doing is like, okay, trash the security, it survives. Oh look, I gain a memory. Okay, thanks. Really, really cool card. I frigging love this card. Next up, we've got 3 copies of EX5 Repamon. This card really helps to speed up our endeavours, and is actually the reason why I'm not playing one of our tech cards, which I'll get into later. Again, you might be able to guess based on what this does is when attacking what that may be. But Repamon, essentially, this card can be a single enabler to allow us to go into a level 6 on turn 2, sorry. Because it just attacks in, trashes the security, probably gains jamming from our Kyuremon as well as some other stuff. Then any of your Digimon on the board, next time you would Digivolve, you reduce that cost by 2. So it does what the training cards do in its attacking. And meanwhile, you've gained some advantage by trashing something from your own stack, hopefully, and you've gotten a jamming hit in. Really, really cool. The amount of times I've managed to go to a level 6 on turn 2 because of this guy, I think he's brilliant. I think there's definitely some cases for playing some other champions over him. So, for example, I know a lot of people have been playing, I can't remember what set it's in. I'll ping it up on screen. But there's a Boltmon, Boltmon, from what I think, I want to say BT6, I can't remember. But essentially, he's got security attack +1 if you've got 3 I think 3 or fewer security. Again, I'll put it on screen, but that's a really good option. I prefer this guy though, just because he really helps speed things up. Also does a minus 2,000 if there's 6 or fewer total security, and the amount of times you have 6 or fewer on board is so easy because you're swinging into them, you're trashing your own stuff. It just happens. It's brilliant. Next up at 3 copies. Probably one of the best removal options and recovery options all in one that we have is 3 copies of BT15 Digimon. He is awesome. When attacking, you've got one of 2 effects that you can trigger by deleting it, and one of those is to minus something by 5k. So if they've got something the other effect can't remove, you can just do a minus 5k on them. Then the other effect is so spicy against certain decks. If one of your opponent's Digimon is a virus Digimon, you can put it to the bottom of their security stack, which is incredibly good against certain decks. You're going up against, say, Machine Dramon or Black War Greymon that usually have lots of protection, including DP reduction protection available to them. You just go, nope, I'm going to take myself out, and you're coming with me. Go away. Just does a really good job of doing that. And on top of that as well, you have the undeletion effect, place it at the bottom of your security stack. If you've got a tamer in play, you hatch in your raising as well, which helps with pushing up for next turn. Though admittedly, the amount of times I forget to trigger that second part is still something I'm trying to get into my head. Also has an inheritable on deletion, place 1 yellow card with the vaccine trait from your hand at the bottom of your security stack. So it helps again with kind of making sure you know what's in your security. We want certain things in your security at all times because of our effects, but really good. And then the last copy is actually kind of a tech choice on my part, is 1 copy of Geo Greymon from BT13. Really good if you can digivolve into it with your Patamon, because he does cost 3, so he is expensive to go into, but it helps play out some of your tamers for free, and gets that recovery +1. Of the champions, although this is a limited card and is incredibly powerful, it probably is the one that I would think about getting rid of, because I don't think we're really playing enough tamers for it. But it does come up, especially if we've managed to kind of through some of our later cards kind of stack the security. But it's a great card nonetheless. And again, it's a vaccine, does a great job. Next, on to our ultimates. We've got, spoilers, 4 copies of Chirinmon. Really helps to speed things up when digivolving by trashing 1 card in your hand, 1 card of your security stack, unsuspend this Digimon. So straight away, you can unsuspend, which does one of 2 things. 1, you either get a free swing with jamming, and you've done 2 swings in 1 turn because of this guy, because, you've gone Repamon, you've digivolved into this, then swing, vice versa. Or it unsuspends you to make you safe later on. I tend to find that kind of safety that you require depends on what you're going to digivolve into and what the rest of your stack is. If you've got Gatomon in your stack, or you go into one of our level 6s, which also has barrier available to it, then that second swing becomes a little bit more important to do. If you don't have either of those things, then leaving it unsuspended, can be the more advantageous move. It really just depends. Then it has a when attacking, which is if there's 6 or fewer total cards on both players' security stacks, you may place 1 yellow card from your hand on the top of your security stack. That's any yellow card which can come up clutch. Like, you could put a removal option into security, you could put a tamer into security, you could put a really big body into security, whatever you need. It just does a great job. Next up, we've got 2 copies of BT15 Angelwomon Ace. This card is brilliant. On play, and when digivolving, by trashing the top or bottom of your security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k. That's just a blanket effect. Doesn't matter how many security you've got. Then all turns, when a card is removed from your security stack, if you have 3 or fewer, recovery +1. And the amount of times you've got 3 or fewer, that recovery +1 work comes in really clutch. And the best thing of that effect, it's all turns. So you can keep doing that, and it includes if your opponent swings into security. So your opponent does a check, you're like, okay, cool, thanks. Bam. Now I'm back up to the same security I was on when you attacked in. Good luck, mate. Really, really cool. And then the other level 5 we've got is Angelwomon's kind of counterpart, although technically Angemon is Digimon, is Magna Angemon Ace from BT15. Just does a blanket recovery +1 on play or when digivolving. Then for the turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -1000 for each card in your security stacks. So this is better early game in terms of removal, because if you've got loads of security, it does more DP reduction. It gets worse the later the game goes on, but that recovery +1 is always a very welcome effect. You know, having 4 copies of an ace card essentially with that overflow can be dangerous, but I think in yellow we can kind of get away with having more aces because we have got some cheekier ways of gaining memory, and also we've got all of our recovery stuff, so we'll be a little bit more gung-ho. And trust me, when this deck gets going, it is gung-ho as they come. It's brilliant. Next up, we've got our Megas. So first of all, I've just got to double check my ratios. I've got 2 copies of Kentorosmon, who, to be fair, I'm really tempted to move up to 3 copies. He has done so much work for me when I've been testing this deck, when I've been playing this deck. He isn't great early game because the on-play never comes up because you're not doing Royal Knight shenanigans. The when digivolving, though, it only really does anything in the late game. Because you need to have 6 or fewer in both players' security stack, and then you reveal 1 card in your hand. If it's yellow, place it on top of the security stack. You also gain 3 memory from that effect as well. So long as you've got the enough, or kind of the right amount of security between you both, that effect is brilliant because essentially you're going into this guy for 2 cost. Otherwise, he costs 5, which is spenny, which is kind of why I put him at 2, but I'm very tempted to bump him to 3 just because he does so much work. He then has a when attacking, by trashing the top of your security stack, unsuspend this Digimon, and one of your opponent's Digimon gets -7k, which is really good against blockers that are trying to, give you a bad day. Great card. Very tempted to put him to 3. Next, level 6. We've got 2 copies of Magnadramon from BT15. Really, really strong card. On play, which is for Great Dragons. We're not doing on plays with this guy. But, could come up. When digivolving, by trashing the top or bottom of your security stack, which is great because we have different ways of kind of stacking our security for the top or the bottom, excuse me. One of your opponent's Digimon gets -9k into the end of their turn. So with all of your other effects as well, this can potentially do a lot. If you've got Salamon underneath, you remove something, you -9k, you -2k, -11. That can get rid of a lot of baseline level 6s, which is really, really cool. And then all turns, when a card is removed from your security stack, so long as you've got 3 or fewer, you may place 1 yellow card from your hand at the top or bottom of your security stack. So another way of stacking it, which is really cool. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Mitamamon from EX5. I still really like this card. It's a great floodgate, whilst also being a great aggressive option. But this is what I'm considering putting down to 2 and putting Kentorosmon up to 3. As well as also considering another level 6 entirely, which I'll get into in the tech options. But Mitamamon is fantastic. It has the when digivolving and when attacking once per turn, so you can't go when digivolving and when attacking because it's the same effect, and thus is once per turn. But essentially, you can trash the top of your security stack and play out a Digimon from your hand that's level 4 or lower, and then you give it Rush, which actually is really good. It can be a really clutch removal thing, so like you're going up against a big old virus Digimon, you play out an Angemon with Rush, and then you attack with that and remove it. You play it under the Repamon, you do, loads of really cool stuff by giving it Rush. Also, all turns, all of your Digimon have Barrier, so the Inheritable of the Gatomon kind of becomes irrelevant at that point because you're giving everything Barrier, but really good to keep everything really defensively. And this is what I meant when, with the Chirinmon, if you're attacking in twice, do it with Mitamamon, because Mitamamon has a way to protect itself. Obviously, it can't protect itself from deletion effects, but, and certain other removal effects, like, say, Grandel Soul. But, that's going to happen anyway, whereas, having Barrier and getting an extra swing in, if their only removal option is beating you over, then you have a way to mitigate that. So really cool. Also, it has the opponent's turn, which is its kind of floodgate ability. It will give minus security attack 2 to all Digimon whose levels are equal to or greater than the amount of security left. So with the amount of stuff we're trashing, the amount of attacking we're doing into the opponents. There are certain decks that physically can't do anything if you tell them your big guys can't go into -2s, like, you know, go -2, like Fang Long, you know, Dark Masters to an effect, you know, those kind of big Mega Zoo decks can't do anything against that. The only decks that kind of don't care about that stuff is the really like the Rookie Rush kind of decks. Even then, you can get to a point where the only Digimon they've got that can swing for game are level 2, and level 2s are Digitamas, and Digitamas can't do that. So it's, you know, it's a really cool card. Like I say, I'm tempted to bump it down to 2 and put Kentorismon up to 3, but you know, it's still a great card. Then last card is our level 7 in terms of the Digimon. It's Shine Grade 1 Rune Mode. Needs no introduction. Generic, top line, purple, yellow, boss man. Just really strong. That's all I have to say about him, really. Next, we'll go into the Tamers. So I've got 4 copies of Richard Sampson from BT15. Now, the reason I've gone with Richard Sampson over stuff like TK and stuff like that is, although we're adding security a lot, we're trashing our insecurity a lot more. So I figured if I've got a Tamer that, when it's trashed, plays itself, that's really good for us. Because we can bring this guy out, have him out for free, you know, then he'll give us more memory next turn, as well as also potentially give us a way to warp into Kentorismon in a pinch. I think he's quite an underrated yellow Tamer. You guys obviously might tell me different. You might tell me TK is the way to go. You are wrong, which you are welcome to do that. I could very well be, but I found in terms of this particular deck, with the amount of trashing we're doing, he's the way to go, especially because we do have ways later on to stack our deck, stack our security stack, and have just any yellow cards going in. Really, really cool Tamer. Next Tamer is 1 copy of BT15 Kari. Now, I've gone with 1 copy because we've got a lot of security attack minusing effects anyway, so she's not as important, but she's a memory Tamer. She does, you know, help us in that respect. And if we don't have our other security minusing things available, she is really good. If she gets trashed from security, she gives -1 to anything, and, you know, which is really, really cool. And then she also alterns when an effect removes a card from your security stack. By unsuspending this Tamer, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security attack -1. So if you don't have your Mitamamon out giving everything security attack minus, you know, she can be a really kind of clutch option in terms of that, especially because she's another Tamer that when she's trashed, she does something. So if you put her in the right area of your security, she could potentially save you from some harm. Our other Tamer is 1 copy of the BT8 Kari, and the reason being is again, memory Tamer, and when a card is added to your security stack, gain 1. So it's kind of, I believe it's pretty much the same effect as the TK. It's just this is a memory Tamer. I also felt this deck was leaning more in a Kari direction, because we're going up to Magnadramon, but, you know, like I say, I might put more TK stuff in to go like true yellow vaccine, as opposed to like my kind of Kentoris Mitama build. But I've been really enjoying this build. I don't think I'll be changing it anytime soon. I may even play it in a bit at a tournament I'm going to up at a shop called Dark Sphere. I've not been there before. Anyone who has been, let me know in the comments what it's like, because I'm going in not blind. I've got a friend of mine who has been there before, who's going with me. In fact, I say a friend of mine, it's Sam. You guys know him. He did the Gallantmon deck profile last week. So, you know, obviously check that out if you haven't. But yeah, I may play this at Dark Sphere. I haven't decided. It's kind of between this and my Greymon comfort blanket, frankly. But, you know, I think this is a great card. Really, really cool. Next up, we're going to go into our options. We've got 3 copies of physical training cards. Do training card things. I can't stress enough how good they are. No one can stress enough how good they are, in fact. Just does what you need. Searches things. Any yellow thing reduces costs as a delay. Yeah, nothing more to say. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Odin's Breath. This is another card that, when put into our security, it can do just really, really cool stuff. you know, we can minus something by 3k, which for a 5-cost card isn't a lot. But the other effect, where if you've got 6 or fewer total cards in both players' security stacks, all of your opponent's Digimon gain security stat -1, that is very good for a 5-cost. And even better if we can trash it from our security and just do it to them. And actually, it's a really good effect to do on your own turn, not necessarily waiting to kind of stack it in security and have it be done on their turn. Like, if you can put it to the top of your stack and then trash it with one of your effects, then all of a sudden you've already got that safety blanket of all of their Digimon will have -1, which is really, really cool. On top of that kind of -3k as well. Next card is 1 copy of Reinforcing Memory Boost, another limited card. Just really, really good for memory gain, because that's a delay gain 3. Also allows you to add 1 card to your hand and then add the other to your security based on what you reveal. So really, really good card for the deck. You know, just gives us a way of gaining memory as opposed to cost reduction. Then our last card is a big old removal option, Wyvern's Breath, from BT6, just -15k casually on, you know, on one of your opponent's Digimon, which that's a lot of the time. That's a lot to remove something. You know, if we need to remove something in a pinch, really, really good. But yeah, that's the deck, guys. Let me know what you guys think. You know, I do have some tech options to also go over as well. So obviously there is the BT15 TK. Obviously, if we're playing more TK related things and we're adding things more, this is a really good card. You know, helps the stack again with the yellow vaccine stuff, as well as also gaining a memory. I just think with the amount of trashing that we're doing in this specific build, I just think Richard Sampson's better. I know 90% of the time TK is probably better, but in this deck specifically, I feel Richard is the way to go. You know, let me know what you think. I could be in a minority when I'm thinking that, but you know, I think if I was trashing less of my own stuff, I think TK would definitely be the way to go. But because I am, it's Richard. You know, really great for memory gain, helps us, you know, stack the security. To that effect as well, Emissary of Hope is obviously an incredibly good card, but I'm not playing any TKs, so the second part of the effect, to recover +1, doesn't come up. And yes, Digivolving into a level 6 or lower is incredibly good without paying the cost, especially for 1. But I feel like we've got so many ways of cheapening our Digivolutions, it doesn't really matter. We've got loads of memory gain, we've got loads of Digivolution reductions. I don't think it matters that much. And the fact that because I'm not playing any TKs, I can't recover, I feel like that hurts the deck. Again, if I go the more traditional, you know, TK Angels kind of route, then I think this would be a mandatory pick. But in my version, I think I'm preferring without it. The other tech option to go over, of course, is Seraphimon in our top line. Recovers +1 when Digivolving in all turns, gains security stat -1, and then -7s. So this does the same job as Kentorismon, pretty much, because Kentorismon's, when attacking, -7s and then unsuspends it. So its all turns is pretty much identical to the when attacking for good old Kentorismon, bar the fact it's an all turns effect. So if your opponent, you know, triggers your Magna Angemon Ace or your Angemon Ace, and you have this on board and you add something to your security, then you can -7k something on their board. So definitely something I've thought of, you know, and having this kind of angel package, I think, is a very good way to go, and I think I'm going to try it at some point. But I'm just really enjoying my trashy Mitama Kentoris shenanigan deck. It's super fast, super quick, lots of recovery, lots of advantage gained from places that don't usually give you advantage. It is a bit gacha in that respect, a little bit random, but you know, I love that with decks. You know, some of my favorite decks in the game are the ones that are a bit more random, and do more wacky stuff. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Am I mad for not doing normal TK Angel stuff? Do you like the look of the deck? You know, just let me know. Like, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and we'll see you another time. But until then, keep it digital.